Dungeons of the Universe HD, Battle of Worlds. Prologue. The dungeon world was never still. Suspended in the void between realms, it was a labyrinth of infinite corridors, glowing crystals, and forgotten shrines. For ages it had been the heart of the multiverse, a prison, a battlefield, and a sanctuary all at once. But now, cracks appeared along its walls. Dimensional rifts tore open, exhaling black mist that poured like smoke into its endless halls. From within the rifts came creatures of shadows, their red eyes glowing like dying stars. And waiting for them were the Guardians. Chapter 1. The First Clash. Mykono's blade shimmered with two opposing lights, one side glowing white, the other black as midnight. His eyes mirrored the same contradiction, one radiating with Twyla's brilliance, the other bleeding Dorikai's shadow. Another invasion, he muttered, stepping forward as the ground shook beneath his boots. The dungeon never sleeps, but neither do I. Beside him, Philu cracked a grin. Flames spiraled around his fists, erupting into blazing wings of a phoenix. His entire body glowed as heat warped the air. Then let's burn these freaks back into the void. The beasts charged, claws scraping stone. Philu was the first to move. He lunged forward in a burst of fire, every punch detonating an enemy into ash. Mykono dashed behind, his sword humming with light, one slash cut through three creatures in a radiant arc. Then the darkness in his left hand pulsed. Chains of shadows slithered out, snapping around another wave of enemies, crushing them into silence. Philu cast him a side glance, noting the black aura. You've got both heaven and hell inside you. Just don't let the wrong one win. Mykono smirked faintly. I walk the edge for a reason. Chapter 2. The Guardians assemble. Elsewhere in the dungeon, the others entered the fray. Ligo floated above the battlefield, eyes glowing as electricity sparked from his fingers. With a sharp gesture, massive lightning bolts split the ceiling, tearing apart the creatures below. Telekinetic force surged from him, grabbing broken pillars and hurling them like lances into swarms of enemies. Weishi knelt in the heart of the chaos, her hands pressed to the ground. Green light pulsed, and thick vines erupted from the stone. They wrapped around allies, sealing wounds with blossoms of healing energy, while strangling beasts that drew too close. Ariano leapt high into the air, his blade flashing. When it struck the ground, a roaring tornado tore upward, catching a dozen enemies and shredding them in its spiral winds. Earthina stood firm, gauntlets glowing. With a thunderous stomp, the ground split, jagged spikes of steel shot up like spears, skewering dozens at once. Ishi raised her staff, calm but unyielding. A freezing wave erupted outward, encasing entire packs of enemies in shimmering ice. Ariano gave her a grin, twirling his blade. You freeze them, I'll break them. Perfect combo, partner. Ishi's eyes flickered with cold focus. Just make sure none slip past. These shadows, they're different. Chapter 3. The villains arrive. The dungeon walls trembled as silence fell. The beasts stopped, bowing as two figures emerged. Varlox the Eternal stepped first, a towering warrior cloaked in living cosmic fire. His armor dripped molten obsidian, and his eyes burned like miniature suns. At his side drifted Neora the Voidweaver, her body cloaked in shadows, face veiled. Her hands tore invisible seams in reality itself, rifts opening like wounds in the air. Purple light glowed from her eyes as void tentacles writhed around her. This dungeon is the heart of the multiverse, Varlox thundered, each word vibrating like an eruption. When it burns, all worlds will follow. Neora's lips curved beneath the veil. Bow, Guardians, or be consumed in silence. Philu stepped forward, flames roaring higher. Bow, I'll burn you to ash before I bow to anyone. The dungeon shook as both sides charged. Chapter 4. Round 1. Ligo's hands blurred, lightning spiraling into dozens of bolts. With a flick, he bent them with telekinesis into a storming arc that should have wiped the enemies clean. Neora sliced the air open with her hand. The bolts vanished into her rift then reappeared behind Ligo. His eyes widened, but a shimmering force barrier materialized just in time to absorb the storm. Earthina slammed her gauntlets into the ground, encasing her arms in steel plating. She rushed Varlox, each fist clashing with cosmic fire. The impact shattered stone beneath them, shockwaves rattling the dungeon. Ariano summoned a cyclone, winds screaming through the hall. Varlox thrust his hand down, his flames igniting the tornado into a blazing firestorm. Ariano cursed, struggling to maintain control, until Ishii raised her staff. A glacier of ice shot forward, colliding with the inferno. The firestorm exploded into a misty shockwave, spraying shards of ice and embers. Weishi pressed her hands harder into the ground, sweat dripping down her face. They're countering everything we throw at them. Mykono's body flared with both light and shadow, his aura splitting the battlefield in two colors. He raised his blade. Then we'll throw everything twice. Chapter 5 The Angel's Warning. The Guardians were driven back, battered and bleeding. Just before Varlox's flames consumed them, a blinding light enveloped the chamber. When the glow faded, they stood within the Hall of Crystals, walls lined with glowing shards of every color. A figure descended from the heavens, CG, Angel of Balance. His wings shimmered both white and black, voice echoing with divine resonance. Guardians of the dungeon, CG intoned, you face more than conquerors. You face the unraveling of creation itself. Varlox seeks to ignite the dungeon core. Neora weaves to unbind it into void. Together, they would collapse every world into nothingness. LIGO clenched his fists. Then tell us how to stop them. I'll do whatever it takes. Strength alone will not save you, CG said. Each of you holds a spirit. But only together can you awaken their true harmony. Seek the eternal nexus. There, your powers will converge. Philu scowled impatiently. Sounds good to me. Just point us there and I'll roast anyone in the way. CG's gaze fell upon Mykono, stern and unyielding. But beware, Mykono's dual bond, light and darkness, is both salvation and destruction. If he falters, Dorikai's shadow will consume not just him, but all. Mykono lowered his head, gripping his sword. Then I'll hold them both. Until the end. Chapter 6 Battle Across Worlds. The dungeon split into shifting realms. In the molten abyss, Philu's phoenix fire collided with Varlox's cosmic flames. Earthina shielded him, steel roots bursting from the ground to block molten rivers. In the storm citadel, Neora conjured illusions across collapsing floating islands. Ariano's stormwinds clashed with shadow serpents, while Ishii froze the collapsing bridges beneath them. In the crystal forest, LIGO and Weishi merged power, vines coiled upward, crackling with electricity, forming a colossal thunder tree. Branches lashed outward, electrocuting hordes of corrupted beasts. And in the eternal nexus, Mykono faced both villains alone. Chapter 7 Eclipse Nova. Varlox swung a blazing fist. Neora opened rifts all around him. Mykono blocked one strike with radiant light, countered another with shadow chains. But Dorikai whispered in his mind, his voice oily and tempting. Why fight balance? Let the darkness consume them all. Mykono roared, stabbing his blade into the floor. No, light and dark exist together, inside me. The others arrived. Philu unleashed phoenix fire, Ishii froze it into blinding steam explosions. LIGO's lightning twined with Weishi's vines, forming whips of pure thunder. Earthina and Ariano fused storm and steel, creating a spinning hurricane of blades and wind that ripped through shadow beasts. Above them, CG's voice echoed. Now, Guardians, converge. All 8 spirits erupted at once, merging into a radiant sphere of swirling light, flame, storm, ice, steel, forest, lightning, and Mykono's light and shadow at the core. Mykono raised his blade, voice echoing across worlds. Eclipse Nova. The sphere detonated in a colossal blast. Varlox and Neora screamed as their forms shattered into fragments of fire and void, scattered into the abyss. The dungeon walls sealed. Balance was restored. Epilogue. The Guardians stood in the Hall of Crystals, battered but unbroken. CG descended once more, wings folding behind him. You have restored balance. Remember, the dungeon binds all worlds. Its battles will never end. But neither will your bond. Philu grinned, flames still smoldering around him. Good. I was starting to like the warm-ups. Wei Shi shook her head, smiling faintly. You never change, Filu. Mikono sheathed his blade, his eyes steady, one white, one black. As long as we fight together, no shadow, no flame, no void will ever claim the dungeon. The dungeon world glowed once more, stretching endless across the cosmos. The 7 silhouettes of the Guardians stood in defiance against the stars. Title card. Dungeons of the Universe HD, Battle of Worlds.